out now. Although there's a small part of the web development presentation that I wanted to show you that's actually on my laptop. So I think I'll probably end up creating two video files here. One, like the first part, and then there'll be a little break, and I'll record the rest. So once I finally get around to posting all the podcast, which I'm hoping to do like later this weekend kind of time frame. Once I post the rest of the podcast, then you'll have like a bunch of links, probably to YouTube videos where you can go in and just watch everything that I've done in the various classes so far. I think the one for the first class session didn't work, but most of the rest of them I've gotten in one form or another. And for this class, you'll have to actually go to 3 different videos, the one for the first part, one for the second part, and one for the third part of the class. But otherwise, we should be good. So let me start by, so first of all, some people had problems like uploading their professional development plans to Google Docs. Alyssa did her best to delete all your... Abigail. Oh my God. Alyssa Doucette. Where's Alyssa? Are you back now? Okay, cool. You're back. So you are the second, you are agenda item number 2, because you're the only person in here that is not attached to a group yet because you weren't here last time. So remind me of that before we keep going. But yes, Abigail, right? Not Alyssa. Abigail accidentally deleted all of your files, but luckily Google Drive keeps a record of all the transactions. So because I'm the one that created the folder, I just have something on the side that says you downloaded all these files, and then I can just go in, even if they're not in the folder, I can go in and download them. So there's 17 that I got via that. Some other people emailed things to me. If you had a problem in some ways, don't worry about it. Just later this evening, tomorrow, I'm going to go in and see what do I have and what don't I have. Anybody's document that I don't have, I'll let you know. And as soon as you get it, as long as you get it to me right away, you still get the full points for doing it. Okay? So, for those of you who did it a long time beforehand, I'm glad that you did. I trust the rest of you that you tried your best to get it done and upload it on time. And if I can't find it, I'll let you know and you can send it to me. As long as you send it right away. Huh?
You have to log in Google Drive to upload the file. I tried without logging in, I couldn't.
But once you log into Drive, you can?
Log in, yeah.
I can imagine that would be the case because I don't see that though, because normally I'm automatically logged in already on Drive. So I didn't notice that would be the case for you guys. But yeah, it's free to be on Google Drive. So if you didn't have a Google Drive account already, you just go in and open it up and then you can see it. But for anybody that it didn't work for, Majid, you figured it out. Anybody that it didn't work for, as long as you emailed it to me, that's fine. Otherwise, if I'm missing something, I'll let you know later today, tomorrow, okay? So that's the first thing. Second thing, going to Google Drive now. Oh. Okay, so super frustrating, the speed here. Okay, so if I sort this by project, so sort range, suggested project. Okay, Alyssa, let me describe to you all of the projects we have available, and you can pick between these. Are you familiar with them already? Have you talked to your classmates? Okay, so I know you were originally interested in edible art. surprisingly, there's no other edible art project right now. You're unique in that idea. So let me tell you the projects we do have, okay? Because I want to have at least 2 people on each project. So we've got 3 people that are Jacqueline, Silvino, and Grecia, who are all going to do something auto related. So Grecia was going to look into potentially like a family friend who does auto restoration. Jacqueline has your boyfriend? His family has a radiator business, or there's plenty of auto companies that I know too, in case they can't find a project. We may do a combination of those 2 companies, may just focus on one. So that's one. We've got 3 different of your classmates, Hema, Shelby, and Megumi, who are all going to work on something beauty salon boutique related. 2 colleagues right now. No, 3. Excuse me. Leanne, Melinda, and Richard, who are all going to be working on one or the other. There's 3 different projects that all came to me from the Bakersfield Downtown Business Association. So all of the different restaurants and bars and antique shops that are downtown, they all have a business association that represents them, and they were interested in doing a project. They also have a foundation for the Fox Theater. So what I'll probably do is end up doing a blend on this project. Some of it, I know Leanne was more interested in the things that are not Fox Theater. Other people were specifically interested in the Fox Theater Foundation, so we'll probably do a blend there. But that's another project. Joshua and Nathan are working on a brewery project, possibly Firestone Walker, possibly another one. While I was in Paso Robles, I did not have a chance to talk to people. I was too busy with my conference. But I will make some phone calls. We'll figure it out. Brian and Maria are working on basically Brian's Clothing Company, which is an apparel company that also donates a certain amount of your revenues to water solutions, was it? Yeah, providing water to people in need. Samuel and Jonathan are both working on Samuel's sort of DJ business. We've got 3 different people interested in a restaurant project: Rochelle, Kaya, and Vincent. It might be Coconut Joe's. It might be another restaurant. We haven't. I need to talk to the people at Coconut Joe's. They were interested in doing something before, but I'm not sure yet if they're still interested or not. But if it's not that one, I know plenty of other restaurants too. There's 3 folks: Javier, Spencer, and Miguel, who are all going to work on a crowdfunding project that's associated with our Small Business Development Center. And actually, Jing, I told the director of our SBDC about your scooter. He thought it sounded cool. He thought we might want to focus on that as the product to crowdfund. Would you be interested? Uh-huh.
We'd really like to be able to get a nicer prototype, or do you want to scan?
We can. There's plenty of other projects from our Small Business Development Center that we could do as well. I think you may be more ready to do crowdfunding. In addition to, I think the other project will probably be a marketing assessment plan, because you've done a lot of stuff with the patents, but not as much about market potential.
I think what we're interested in doing is putting together a business plan, and that we could take with us to either get funding or to go on applying for Shark Tank or something.
Whatever you guys want to do, we will tailor to that. We can talk again about the crowdfunding thing later, because I think it might be more interesting than you think. But if not, there's plenty of other things. And getting back to describing things to Alyssa, we're going to do some project where we basically go out and present a product and a company on Kickstarter and probably some other platforms as well, and get funding for it, basically. So that's that. We got 5 people. Majid, Paige, Jane right next to you, Chase, and Sabrina, who are all working on basically Jane's scooter venture. You weren't here last time, but I did my best to not wreck her prototype scooter. I drove it around outside. It's pretty fun. It's fast. It's very cool product. So she and her family have built like a folding, very lightweight, portable scooter. You just you can bring it with you on the bus and then fold it out, and it goes up to 22 miles an hour. It's really quite cool. And then we've got 3 folks, Christian, Hernan, and Susanna, who are going to work on something sports related, possibly an indoor soccer facility. Depends if I can find one that is a good overlap. Otherwise, we'll do something else sports related. And then finally, 3 folks, actually, Abigail and Vanessa are both interested in similar transportation, kind of like trucking and transportation type businesses. Rainier has a non-emergency medical transportation service that he already runs, and because everybody else was attached to some other project, the most overlap was with the transportation project. So I lumped him in there, but we're going to work on 2 different projects. So of the things that I described to you, which one would you like to be a part of?
I'm not really sure, because it's fine as long as it's something that is based on managing someone's as an actual manager of it. I don't know if I'm explaining this really. I think before you just had me on the apparel business one.
I did.
I think that one was fine.
Basically, either the apparel business or something related to the Downtown Business Association. If I think about where you would eventually open and have traffic for an edible art business. Well, it would be, but you also have some. I think you could have some interesting, sort of storefront display opportunities in eclectic little places downtown. So there may be some overlap there. But if you're interested in the apparel project, clearly some of the things that are involved in building and growing an apparel business, most of which sells online, if I'm correct, is going to be similar to the kind of issues you're facing when you build the other business. So your choice. Okay. So huh? Yep. Hope to others. You sure? Okay. Cool. Then that is. Why does it sometimes do what I want it to and other times not? There we go. Okay, so that's all set. Now, what I wanted to do is reorganize where people are sitting a bit so I can memorize your faces. So, let me sort range and include Alyssa in the right place. So, the auto project, Jacqueline, Grecia, you guys were over on this side, right? And then Silvino, way on the other side. Silvino, can you move over this way so we've got all 3 of the auto project people together? So let me grab a pen here. So trade, let's see here. Hang on one second. Hema, Shelby, and Megumi. So Megumi, can you move back to where Hemma and Shelby are? That way the whole group's together? Okay. So this is, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4. So Beauty is here. And what is your name again? Melina. So, Fox Theater, DBA, Fox Theater, DBA, Fox Theater, DBA. Leanne, you stay there. How's that? Vincent, can you move? And then you slide over this way. Abigail, I'm going to have you move as well. So you get up. Silvino, come up here. And Jackman, come up here. Gracie, you can stay where you are.
Right there?
Uh-huh. So this is going to be DBA. And this is going to, oh no. This is auto. And this is DBA. Richard, you were on the, yeah, can you come up here too? Thanks. Okay, so, oh my God, why is this so hard to navigate? Joshua and Nathan, I think you're sitting right next to each other. You were. Josh, you want to move up right there, and then we got you and Nathan on the end. Do you mind?
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Breweries there. Hope to others. So, where's Maria? So, Brian, do you mind, like the other two, like if Alyssa, if you move up one, and Brian, you move over, then you're both next to Maria, and we got to get you guys together. Is that cool? And then this is hope to others. Music is both back in the back already, right? So move over one, but otherwise you guys are already, one of the two of you move over, otherwise we're good there. Restaurant, so Rochelle, where are you? And my God, why is this so damn hard to navigate? So Rochelle, Kaya, Vincent. Where's Kaya? Hope. What are you doing? Paige, right? Okay, Paige. What are you doing again? The scooter. Okay, can you move? And then Beauty is here. Crowdfunding scooter, right? So we got 3 on the restaurant. Yeah, let's like. Hernan, you're doing sports, right? Yeah. You move. Let's put the scooter gang all back in the back there and move, like, Rainier, I'm going to move you. And then move music over to the far side, and the rest of the scooter gang, because there's 5 of you, will all fit together there. And then that leaves enough space for restaurant here, so... Kaya, you can stay where you are now. But Rochelle, please come over here, and Vincent as well. If you could sit there. We should have 3. I guess we're missing 1 chair. So, what's your name again? Javier. So you're crowdfunding, right? Okay. We'll figure that. Like, if we got 3 crowdfunding, so why don't let's have Beauty move down this way. And then crowdfunding will be on the end here. And so that leaves sports and transportation. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's so Sabrina. Where's Sabrina? Okay. So otherwise she'd be there. So we're cool. We'd have extra person there. So 4. So let's see. I got 3 there. Yeah, perfect. So Abigail? Sorry. I got too many A's. Abigail, Alcala, Alyssa. Like, there's too many in my head. Okay, so let's put the 3 transportation in the middle, in the 4th row here. So Vanessa, just either move over one or like Rainier sit on one side and Abigail on the other, however you want to do it. And then we got 3 more spots in the back. That'll be sports. So we're missing. Is Susie here? Okay. Otherwise, she would be with you guys, but there's another chair there, so we're good to go, right? Okay. And that, we should be good, right? Is that, otherwise, is anybody not sitting with your group at this point? Okay, cool. Thank you. I am going to try my best to memorize quickly so that by 2 weeks or so from now, it doesn't really matter anymore. Like, you can sit wherever around the room as we're working on projects, but this helps me to memorize faster. Okay, so that's all good. Now let's get into the actual lecture. Any other questions about anything before I move on? Okay, cool. What? Hope. Yes. Paige. I keep wanting to call you Hope. Why? I don't have no idea. Paige, sorry. No, I haven't actually. I went in to see who did it and who didn't, and I just put points if there was a profile. And sometime between now and the near future, I have to block off a bunch of time to go through, and actually it's 34 profiles in here, but then there's another 45 I have to do for my other class. So at some point I need to block off like a whole weekend to just do nothing but do edits on your guys' profiles. As soon as I do, I'll let you know. But up until now, whatever edits you made, I'll catch them because I haven't downloaded yet. Other questions? Okay. So, what are my options for speeding this up? Color scheme. Should we change to Windows 7 Basic? Maybe that'll make things faster. Let's find out. Okay, so that's done for now. Let me go into Blackboard and go through graphic design, web development, and product development. Okay. All of the materials for today's lecture are here under web development and product service development. So we'll start with the web development PowerPoint. Okay, so for those of you who have either had my entrepreneurship class in the past or are familiar somewhat with doing web development already, some of this is going to be repetitive. For all the rest of you, this is a crash course in like how to put together competent and professional looking websites and graphics online in like 1 hour or less. So anybody that's already good at that, I compliment you. how many people in here do not feel completely competent with their like graphic design and web master abilities? Cool. So a lot of you, it's going to be relevant. So, real basics first. Any website that you throw together should have at least 4 elements to it. A home page, which basically kind of gives you a storefront, usually whatever it is that your top product or the coolest, sexiest thing that you do, you kind of splash that up there in front. And then you've got a navigation bar that goes across the top, which is going to have, if nothing else, an About Us section, which gives a little bit of information about the people that work at the company, like what makes you guys unique, your background, so forth and so on. You're going to have a contact information section. There's going to be basic information about the products and services you offer with graphics that help people to kind of visualize and understand things. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff you could have, but it's got to have at least these basic elements. There's 2 major like software packages for graphic design that I like to use, and 2 that I like to use for web development. There's other ones. The ones that I'm comfortable with and the ones that I'm going to explain to you guys how to use in this class are these. If you know another system, knock yourself out. There's plenty of other softwares out there. So I use Pixel. 99% of what you want to do with graphic design, you can do with Pixlr. It's completely free. It's an online cloud-based app. You pay nothing for it. Photoshop, anything that you couldn't do with Pixlr, Pixlr basically is the exact same functionality as Photoshop, except it's a crippled version that you have for free. If you want to like basically rip the top off of the software and be able to get it to do all the rest of the things you want it to do, you're better off with Photoshop because you're paying for it. You're allowed to do whatever you want. If you use the free version, it's almost exactly the same. I've listed the websites there that you can go to get it. You can pretty much pay $20 a month and get a subscription copy of Photoshop. Dreamweaver actually comes from the exact same, because they used to be different companies, but Adobe bought Dreamweaver, so now Dreamweaver is also part of the Adobe suite. I think you can actually pay like $30 a month and get access to 3. So instead of paying $20 for one, you could pay $30 and have access to both, plus a third software from Adobe. Like Acrobat, which we all know, is their free product. Adobe has all kinds of other products that are like upsell, that are really like everything you ever wanted to do graphically. They've got amazing software. So again, you could probably get them both as a package for 30 or 40, plus a third, or you can do them like a la carte for 20 a piece. And then Wix. Wix is anybody in here used Wix before that hasn't been in my like class? Anybody used like you have? So, Alyssa, you used Wix once?
It was a different class. I don't remember what
But what was your experience with Wix using it?
It was extremely easy. Just like clicking.
Totally.
A template already set up for you. You just had to fill it.
There's other ones out there. GoDaddy has basically the same functionality. Some people use Weebly, I think. There's a bunch of them out there. The one that I'm familiar with is Wix, so I'll walk you guys how to use this. Wix is pretty much, like I said, it's paint by numbers web development, wouldn't you say? I mean, click on anything and it'll show you how to edit it. You can pull up whatever pictures you want. It's easy to change the graphics. It looks really professional. But you're kind of stuck using a template.
Yeah.
If you want to completely do things, go ahead, Alyssa.
So you don't create anything based on what they have.
Yeah, I mean you're basically playing with Tinker Toys. Like if you want chartreuse colored Tinker Toy wheel, or you want like a stick that's not this long or this long, but that long. If it's not in standard form, you can't do it with Wix. You can do everything you want with Dreamweaver, but it's a lot more. It takes a learning curve to learn how to use Dreamweaver. Wix is pretty easy to use, so I'll show you guys a little bit about both, and then we'll move on to product development, and we'll call it a day. Sound good? So first of all, I'm going to do graphic design first, and then web development. So there's 4 things that I want you guys to be able to do. There's 4 things I think any small business jack of all trades should be able to do. One is to turn screenshots or photos from your camera into JPEG files and post them on a website. The second thing is to be able to crop images. The third thing is to be able to add shapes, and the fourth is add text. So with those 4 basic abilities, you can graphically represent almost any idea that's in your head, and then you can go in and kind of describe. If you have in some cases, you're going to want to sort of say, okay, for very conceptual things, you might say, this part leads to this part, and then these 2 parts together are interacted with. But sometimes you want to describe a process when you're describing a complex situation. So my music licensing business, nobody quite understood what I meant by entertainment-based advertising. What I meant was that it could be like giveaway products, it could be a concert series, it could be an advertising campaign, and it all sort of has the branding of a corporate product of some kind. So in order to try and explain to people what that meant, I went in and created some graphics with words and described how it works. Sometimes it may be as simple as taking a picture of your product and having little arrows pointing that say, this is like feature A and this is feature B. But with those 4 abilities, you can do a whole lot to describe things in a competent manner online. So if I jump out of here and I go to Pixlr, it's just pixlr.com. Pretty simple. And you just scroll down, and you want to go to the Pixlr editor and just launch the web app. We're going to create a new image for now. So we'll just start here. Let's say that I want to find, here, actually. So if, for example, if we're talking about the beauty salon / boutique for a second, one of the salons that I'm thinking of, I don't know if they have a website right now or not. So one of the things they might want to do, in addition to taking pictures of clients that go there normally, is just kind of give some ideas of what things could look like. If you're really starting something new and you don't have so many existing clients, it's pretty easy to go out and find images too. So let me just, in case you didn't know, if you want to find an image for almost anything, an existing image on Google, just type in whatever you're looking for and images. You see, there's even an images section to Google. Has anybody used Google extensively to find images? So, Kaya, I actually have not called on you lately. So, what have you used it for?
I've made have you ever had the game for little kids where it's matching game but it's travel size, and so and they can't come with standard shape.
Uh huh.
And I wanted to do one that was themed for vacation, so I used Google Images, just type in animals or something.
Cool, and you found pictures of
Bears,
wildebeest and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. So there's a gazillion images, existing images that one could just use as stock footage to put into a site to kind of give the idea of a feel for what you want. You could. In some ways, it's just as simple as view image. You right-click on that, save the picture as, and we'll just put it on the desktop. Put it there for now. And you could go back to Pixlr and open an image. We can pull that in, and then if we just sort of want part of it, you'll notice here this everything on the left-hand side of Pixlr changes what your cursor will do. So this allows you to paint with a brush. This little magic wand here will do something to an entire section that you've highlighted. The lasso allows you to highlight a certain section so that you can move it places. This move tool actually allows you to move things, so on and so forth. There's just a few things I'm going to show you today, but if you just play around with this, you can pretty much do anything you want to that image. So if I wanted just part of this, I would click the crop tool so that this is highlighted on the left side, and I would just I don't want all the ceiling, for example, so I'm going to cut that out. Click enter, and then I've just got that part of the image, and I can pull it up into the website that I want or whatever I want to do. So you can go out and find existing images pretty easily. Alyssa, yes? There is, however, with what you guys are doing, for the purposes of what you're doing right now, make a note where you got the image, and follow up later. Honestly, a lot of times I've put a lot of stuff up on my website. No one has ever come to complain about it. I make a note. I make a little footnote. This image was borrowed from here. Certainly, if you're going to have a lot of traffic to the website, if the company is going to have the bigger the company is, and the more successful, the more traffic you're going to have at that site, eventually, Alyssa's exactly correct. You have to clarify the rights to the image. In the short term, you need to be able to communicate visually clearly what you're trying to do before anybody's going to care about the rights. As soon as you've done that, then it's easy enough if somebody objects to the use of their photo, or you can't agree on the right licensing fee, you just pull that down and put another one up. In the short term, until you're able to communicate clearly what you're trying to show people visually, nobody's going to care about the copyright because nobody knows that it's there. Most of the stuff that you find on Google Images is stock footage that's free to use anyway. But yes, Alyssa is exactly correct, and this is the world that I used to work in, except with music instead of photo rights. So believe me, most of the musicians out there in the world would be happy if you're doing something with their music, as long as you get it to work and then you pay them for it. Before it works, there's not really any there's nothing to fight over before you get something to work. Once you do get it to work, I completely agree. But if your initial goal is just to be able to show competently in a visual format what you're trying to display, plenty of images in Google. The other thing I wanted to show was a screenshot. So I'm not going to save that for now. If I just go to let's say that I like this image here. It's hard to actually get it to stop, but let's say I like that image, and I can't find a way to download the image. Each computer screen is a little bit different. On most keyboards, you're going to hit Control, Alt, Print Screen. You're going to hold those three buttons down together. On my laptop, there's actually a function key, so I press the blue function key, and then there's a copy screen. There's some combination of keys on each of your keyboards that will allow you to do a screenshot. Everybody familiar with doing screenshots? Who is and who isn't? So who is not familiar with doing a screenshot? Who is? Okay, cool. So you're all familiar how to do it. As soon as I click that Control Alt Print Screen, or however else the combination is, There's the only thing that you can't do with Pixlr that I've figured out so far is create a new image and copy and paste whatever you've copied from the screen. If you are using the free Pixlr, you need to actually go to all programs first and open up your accessories. Damn it. Of course, now there's not going to be paint. Let me see if I can do it with the Windows Media feature. So let me get back to that in a second. You can, but it's not as efficient as using Paint. Let's see if we can get Word to. What's that? I mean, there should be it's Paint. The Paint program is. Of course, it's going to ask me for administrator access. Everybody familiar with the Paint feature? Okay, let me get back to. I can show you it on my own laptop. Of course, on this desktop, of all the things that should be here, Paint, a copy that a system, software that's on every Windows machine in the world is not here. So anyway, let me show you that in a second. I think I've showed you the rest of. So if we go back to the image that I already used before, open image, and we use that one we just used. So let's say I wanted to describe. Let's say I wanted to describe what. I wanted to describe what are the various features around the salon here. I could simply go in, go to the drawing tool, grab a line here. So I got to tell it what kind of shape I want to draw, and then I simply draw a line from here. We want that to actually here. Before I do that, in order to build things easily on top of each other in a graphic program like this, you always want to create a new layer. So the first layer in the background. So actually, let me do this completely correctly. New layer. Now we're going to open up that image. And crap.
It's really easy to use.
What's that?
It's really easy to use, huh?
Well, it is easy to use. It's not completely easy to use, but
You're trying to copy it over to that new document.
yes.
Just hit Control C and then go to the document for the blank one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. And it didn't work. There we go. Control C didn't work for some reason, but you can actually just go up and do edit copy. So I highlighted what I wanted, brought it into a new layer. So Now, if you see here in a second, if I create a third layer, and now I go into the draw function, and I put an arrow in here, and then I put this layer up here. You see how the arrow is in front of everything else? And then I want to describe like various supplies for sale here. And that's a little bit large, so maybe we're going to change the font to more like 20 and hit OK. And now if you want to move this eventually somewhere else, because it's a different layer, if I just highlight that layer and then I highlight the little arrow tool here, I can move it wherever I want on the page here. And that arrow, same thing. If I highlight the arrow, I can move that around separately. And same thing with the picture. So it's not perfect, but it gives you a quick ability to be able to like describe visually basically what you're trying to do between a graphic image, lines, squares, boxes, and so forth. And the ability to add text. So does that all make sense? Those are the 3.5 major skills that I want to make sure you guys can do visually. So that's the graphic design part of the presentation. Let me do Wix here, and then I will switch over to do Dreamweaver on the other machine. And when I do that, remind me that I need to show you the like paint function again, because I couldn't find it here. So we'll close. Well, here actually. Yeah, we'll close that for now. So now we're going to go to Wix.com. Yes, we'll leave this page for now. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is set up an account if you don't have one already. It's free. All you got to do is go in and create an account and then start using Wix. So once you're in here, it's a pretty robust and simple site. So if you go to templates, you'll see here on the left-hand side, they've got ready-made templates for almost every type of business you can imagine. So advertising and marketing businesses, cars and transportation, you know, like if we stick with the health and beauty theme, like I think I like the one on page 1 the best. No, it was 2. That one. So we'll start using this one. So you can choose that as a as a template to use. And if you like the basic layout, then everything else about the site you can edit based on pointing and clicking. So if we just use this as an example, once you've chosen a template you like, you'd say edit site. It'll open up the Wix editor here. Has a wonderful little tutorial here.
Welcome to Wix. You're on your way.
You can listen to that later. I will be the Wix narrative for now. So if I go back to the presentation for a second and make sure that I cover the points I wanted to cover. So account and template, we just talked about that. Editing pages. So the next thing, anything you see on here, if you just click on it, you can edit things about it. So what I did here, I just went and left-clicked, like anywhere in where the menu bar is, and that allows me a bunch of options for how to edit the navigation bars. So if I want to rename the pages, I don't want them to say home, about us, for body, for home anymore. I go to rename pages, and it'll allow me to change each of the names. So home, I think that's okay. But instead of about us, I want it to say how cool we are. So it changes it there and in all the rest of the navigation. If we want to move the menu bar, for example, you just click on it. You can pull it around, make it higher, make it bigger, make it smaller. Move it down in the middle of the page. If you right-click on it, in addition to rename pages, we've got settings. So right now the buttons are centered. You could have them be the left. They could be right-centered. We could change the style of the entire thing so that instead of it being text, it looks like buttons. It could have little lines in between it. You could personalize it, like you can change the colors of the drag down menus. The separator is now white. If I go to see, that'll change the little lines in between. Like if you just point and click and play around, I can't remember all the functions here, but between left clicking and right clicking, you can pretty much get this thing to do whatever you want it to do. Make sense? So let's go back to, we'll cancel, get out of that. So that's just with the menu there. Let's say, same thing for the text here. So if I wanted to edit this text, I just click on it, so I left-clicked on it to highlight the text, and then right-clicked, and it gives me options here. So settings kind of usually allows me to change the font, change the colors and stuff. And then if I want to just change the text, so edit text, and about us, right now it says I'm a paragraph, so right now the photo is of soaps. We're going to change it soon. So whatever you want to put here describing, instead of what's there right now, you just go in and edit it. You can change, just like a normal Word document, changing fonts and so forth. So editing pages, adding, moving, deleting pages, changing colors and backgrounds. So if I wanted to change the background, for example, I just click on that part, and that changes the background here. If I want to change the style of what's here, it's a strip right now. It's this color. If I want the top to change to another color, I can go in there. So you can pretty much edit. You can edit anything about the colors in the background, about the words. We can change this image. So right now, it's an image of soaps. Let's say that we wanted that image that we had before instead, the one that we found on Google. So if we just go into change image, this is a picture of me with long hair, and so this is at my sister's wedding. It was for another post, but let's say we want to use the one we just talked about. So we've got to go to upload images, and we'll go grab that picture that we found before and we saved, and we'll just highlight it, apply, and voila, instead of that picture of soap, we have the picture of the studio that we just found online earlier. And if we had wanted to describe, so if this page had been, the offering in our shop, we might put that up at the top and then move this down, blow it up, and then we can have different lines saying, in the center section here, we have products for sale. There are four makeup stations over here. There are like 3 hairstyling stations over here. If we wanted to actually describe stuff, if all we need is the image, then we're already good and ready to go. And that is what I wanted to show about adding and editing images. Now, editing text boxes and shapes. If we have this page, this is the basic page, but let's say, I want 2 different boxes with text. So that's the first one, but I want to add an additional text box. I just go to the little plus thing here, add text and title, and in order to edit it, so details about picture on right, and then I put in text and paragraph. Whatever you want to add, you just go to the little add thing here. I just started with text. You can add images. You can add a rotating gallery. You can add multimedia elements. If I want to put a line in the middle of this page, I can add shapes. I can make the shape thicker. I can change the color of the shape. Whatever I want to do. So you've got the basic template. You've got the ability to add stuff to the template, and then you've also got the ability to add and subtract pages. So in addition to like about us or how cool we are, for body, for home, let's say we wanted to have a section like investor information where you list like the basic financials of the company, stuff that might be of interest to investors. We can just go to add page, and we can choose what basic format we want it to have. So yeah, that's nice for now, and we'll call it investor information. Nope, I spelled it wrong, but that's easy to fix. We just go to why is it not allowing me to change that one? For body, for home. Interesting. So I added it, and now I can't find it. I don't know why that is. So let's try it again. Add a page. There. I have no idea why that didn't work before. But now, here's the investor information page. I can go in, like, edit stuff on it. If I want, like, okay, it's nice to have text there, but actually I wanted to have a picture too, so I can add an image of me hanging out with the rest of the investors. And eventually, when we're done with that page, we can just save, and we'll call this test beauty site. In order to be able to, for me and everyone else to see what you've done, you need to actually click publish. So publish your site online, publish, okay. Maybe later. Now it's actually out there, and you'll notice if I had taken a second to copy that link there, then that is the link that it's going to be. So if I just completely close Wix and go back to a different page, you'll notice that the site that we just created is now already online. So multimedia objects, publishing this. So publishing, we talked about. The only thing that I didn't completely go over is adding multimedia. So if we go back to my sites and we go to test beauty site, I can manage the site. So everything that I just did before, I can go back in, edit the site. And you'll notice, for whatever reason, investor info, I guess maybe I had to refresh the page, but now you'll see I added that investor info page, and if I want to edit that page, now I can just come right back. It'll take me to the page. If I want to delete that Inventor information page where I spelled it wrong, it's gone. You notice it's no longer there. Pretty much the moral of the story here is point on any, click on anything with your left mouse button or your right mouse button and start playing with the one of those two will allow you to do everything that I just showed you. Does that make sense? And relatively quickly, you can come up with a pretty robust website. So, maybe 1 or 2, 3 projects in here will need to build a website from one that doesn't already exist. Okay? Like in the spring, I think I had 3 or 4 of the ventures that created new websites as part of the project. The rest of them already had a website. They didn't really need that. But some of you, in any given situation, in the future, I think everybody who's a small business manager should know how to do those basic things with web design and graphic design. So that brings us all the way up to the end of these 2 slides. There is one thing that I wanted to show you with Dreamweaver that you can't do with Wix. So at this point, let me finish. Let me go ahead and then come back. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to close this presentation. Save the podcast. Then go over to my laptop so I can show you something about Dreamweaver, and then we'll come back to do the presentation on. No, you know what? Are you guys able to jump back and forth between the topic of like graphic design and web stuff to things about product development? Like, it'll be easier for the technology if I just do everything that needs to happen on the desktop now, and then I switch. The last thing we do today is showing you a few things about Dreamweaver, which are particularly relevant. Dreamweaver is relevant in two situations that we haven't talked about yet for graphic design and web development. Like, when you have an existing website and like the project, let's say for example, Coconut Joe's, where's the restaurant group? There. So let's say Coconut Joe's, like, they don't have a page on their website that describes their event room, and they don't want to create a whole new website. They just want to add a page which has all the information about the event center. So in that case, you guys don't want to use Wix. You actually want to have a page that looks exactly like their website, but you're going to add information about the event center, and then you're going to publish it to their website. You know? So instead of creating a new one, you're just adding content to an existing website. In that case, you want to use Dreamweaver because you need to put the information in a certain place on the internet if it's an existing website. Wix allows you to create one completely from scratch. Eventually, if you created the Wix website and then you wanted to go in and you wanted to move beyond the like paint by numbers capacity, you could also open up the entire Wix site in Dreamweaver, and then you can start like taking the cap off and changing things that Wix doesn't allow you to change. You could do that eventually too. But let me get to that last. So the very last thing we're going to do is that. The last thing in this presentation before I go to product development and patent stuff is just a quick list that I put together for you guys of a few other virtual IT vendors. So, any small business, like the amount of stuff you can fix or do yourself, like, is tiny compared to the amount of stuff other folks could do for you. I've listed a couple here between Continue IT, WordPress, and ISBoss who sort of have remote ability to do IT problem solving. There's plenty of others. There's a couple years out of date. You'd be surprised as well, depending on the situation, what you can find by just going to a developer blog or to YouTube for a tutorial. Like, honestly, there's been multiple times this past year and change where, like, our IT services folks here couldn't help me, and I just went onto Google and I typed in, like, error code 356030 and I pulled up the troubleshooting. I went to the blog to understand what do you have to do, and I went in and fixed it myself. Like, you'd be surprised actually if you just go to blogs, to tutorials, just even to Google and do a search, and the help functions of these softwares are amazingly robust. Like, all of us get kind of lazy to go to help and click on search how to do something. You'd be surprised how much you can find by just using the help function a little bit. So I wanted to list that as a bit of a appendix to the rest of the presentation. That is most of what you need to know about web design and graphic design. The rest I will do on the laptop at the end. Questions about this before I go to product design and patent, trademark, copyright stuff? We're good for now? Okay. So I'll close that. Close Wix. And go back to the place in Blackboard here and open up product development instead. So these first two slides you probably recognize already. I think I played these in the sort of overview in the first class session. Talked about like how we went from an album of individual songs with Schema Records when I was working on my music licensing company to like licensing in advertisements. I showed this, right? That's what I thought. So I'm just listing this here again because this basic process of going through listing assumptions, recording different viewpoints, reversing the assumptions, and then asking yourself how to accomplish those assumptions. Like I gave an example here, but that basic process, if your project is to develop a new product of some kind or another, you really want to ask yourself, like, and I would say, if we talk about the scooter project for a second, Jane, like, obviously, all of the actual development of the technology and so forth, you guys have done so far, but I think, and the patent stuff that we'll get into in a second, you've also done already. But I think it might not be bad as part of the project to list, you know, what do we assume that people use scooters for, you know? Usually they're like to get around either because they're like physically, like they're incapable or it's inconvenient to travel around, or they're using it because like they want to save time. Are there other reasons why somebody might use a scooter? And just brainstorm like that. Are there are there reasons why somebody who like wants to save time would not use a scooter? You know, and just really push yourself to think about different ways to position this in the market going forward. Other than that, what I wanted to get out of the first two slides is basically this process of listing all of your assumptions that you can about what you think your product and your market are all about, and then seeing how you could change those assumptions into something that's the opposite, and see how you might be able to turn that into an actual, like, not just an idea, but something you implement in the business. So the first two are more of a structure than anything. These next three slides is some pretty detailed information for anybody that ends up doing a patent, trademark, or copyright search and registration of paperwork. So I had one project last spring that actually did patent research. It would have been relevant for Jane's project if they hadn't already done it themselves. But over the course of your time in small business, you may come across a point at which you have something proprietary, whether it's a physical product or a technology of some kind, whether it's the brand name of your company, or whether it's intellectual property. It could be a recipe of a certain kind. It could be a book or a training manual that you've written. It could be obviously everything about music, whether it's the composition itself or the physical recording, goes into copyright law. So if one of any of those things are relevant to these slides. The first, there's three different types of intellectual property protection that you can get from the government. The first is a patent, and patents are for physical things. They're for processes. They're for ways of making stuff. They're for chemical compounds. That if you discover a new chemical compound, if you discover a new type of hair solution, it's for either stuff or ways to make stuff. Is usually what you're talking about when you're talking about patents. So obviously, the scooter in Jane's project, very much a thing, as opposed to a brand name or as opposed to an idea of some kind. Now, the actual specifications or the idea of how to create a scooter, depending on what the purpose of the document. If it were a how-to manual, then that might actually be copyright information that you eventually want to copyright. In this case, everything that went into creating that thing is still relevant, is still part of the patent documentation, because it's about the end goal is a thing, not a book. So in general, your filing fee for a patent is only about $500. It's not really that expensive. What is expensive is paying a lawyer or an attorney who usually bill, if you're lucky, they bill $150 or $200 an hour. If you're unlucky, they bill $400 an hour. If you're really lucky, you find somebody that does legal work for $50, but attorneys are expensive. And a lot of what you have to do for a patent filing is just simply doing the legwork to see what is already out there and then filling out paperwork. So I've listed a couple really important links here. Jane, do these all look familiar to you from what you guys have done already? Here.
But I mean, this is the fifth patent that I personally wrote.
Uh-huh. Does this process sound familiar? You are more familiar with patents than me at this point. So the links that I've given you guys here, the first one is, here, if we go into slideshow.
I've been to the first two. I would also say that Free Patents Online is like a really...
Like freepatentsonline.com?
Yeah.
Cool.
To search for patents and also to get them in PDF format. Scroll through.
Uh-huh. I'm gonna add that to future presentations. freepatentsonline.com. So just to show everybody here real quick, this is less relevant to Jing because she's already done all this, but for anybody that's starting a new patent search, the first thing you need to do when you're documenting all the paperwork is to go see who's done something similar already. So if you go to search for patents, this is the website of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So go in there, search for patents. And full text and image database. So you can go in here and search on pretty much any term you want, and it'll bring back for you any patent document that has something related to that in the title. So if we started with something as simple as scooter, it'll bring back various things that have that word in there somehow. That may be too broad, so you end up doing scooter, not bike. Can't remember I have to check on what the Boolean operator is, but basically if you go in and you it should be not, but it's not working here for some reason. So usually you have and, not, or different ways to expand or contract your searches. But what you've got here is basically a huge database of different patents that have been filed at different times. So this describes everything about basically as a magnet motor. So this is less relevant to their scooter. The pedal bike, not really. So
They had fold.
What's that?
They had foldable scooter. It
Did,
go down a little
did you see one foldable scooter?
Yeah.
Where was it? Theoretically, if we put scooter and fold, why does it not? And There, foldable scooter. So you'll notice here, every document that's listed beforehand is some other prior patent that the current patent refers back to. And then further down, it's description of things, so forth and so on. And if your job were to do a patent search, you're going to end up like starting on easy things like scooter and folding, and then eventually you might want to know, like, is the particular technology used in the battery? Has that been used somewhere else? And you're going to end up doing searches like this that get more and more refined. Make sense? But basically, it's all about doing searches in this database, and then Google has a great Google has a great patent section. So if we did the same thing, like folding device for a scooter, scooter with folding device, folding electric scooter, like, you'll notice this, like, one of the problems that Jane had talked about is that most of the other ones are way too heavy and way too bulky. Like, this folds, but it looks like it doesn't fold in one step, right? So Google is also a great place to go, and honestly, Google organizes the information a lot better than the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office does. But they're both databases that you would search for these things. Like Jane said, you can also go to Free Patent Online. Is it just Free Patent Online? Not patentent. Is it patents, plural? There we go. So, same thing. Another place to search for information. And the basic thing that you're doing with patent searches, I've also included some sort of tips on how to do the search operators here, and also a nice book. Like, this is a nice book on, like, sort of how to the Idiot's Guide to Patents for $7 as well. So, in case you wanted more information, the key here is that you want things to be useful, novel, and non-obvious. And the paperwork, I've actually gone ahead and put on Blackboard just so you can see. So if you go back to the lecture materials for web and product development, I've got a little got a document here on. Actually, I've got a document here on how to do a bunch more information than I summarized. A couple of my colleagues a couple of years ago put together a summary on doing patent filings. So this here is more information. This is the expanded version of the one-page slide that I showed you. And this is the actual form that you need to fill out to, like, file with the Patent and Trademark Office. So, in general, if somebody in this class goes out and does all the research to find everything else that's been done already, fills out as many boxes here as possible, the work that the lawyer has to do later is a couple hours rather than 100. So that's basically, you still want to have a lawyer look at everything before you submit it, but a lot of the legwork of just going out and searching for what's been done before and documenting it does not need to be done by somebody that bills at $200 an hour. So the skill of being able to do this, very useful for any small business. And honestly, it's more like sweat labor than anything. Like you just have to put in the time. It's not that hard to do, and it's only $500 to file the patents. So there's actually, depending on what it is your company does, like I know that my two businesses that I had in the past, I've never filed a patent, trademark, or copyright application in my life, and I probably should have. Like, there's ideas that I came up with that, I didn't go forward with it, so it's really kind of water under the bridge because nobody's stealing it from me. But there are some ideas that I came up with, either copyright-wise in terms of sort of documentation that I described for various artists, or documentation I described about how to do things that could have been patented as books, or they could have been copyrighted as books. I don't know if I've ever done anything that would, there's some processes, I guess, about generating internet content or generated music content that perhaps the process could be patented. But I never did it, and it would have been pretty simple to do. I would have been glad I did. So it's a skill set that I think everybody should have, is just knowing how to go out, do the basic homework, fill out the blanks here, and then go talk to a lawyer and get the rest of the input. But most of the legwork you can do. So I'm not going to go into the details of exactly what you need to fill out and what blank here. But if anybody did that project, I will work with the group to say, okay, let's fill this out here, let's fill this out here, and then obviously what we do in this class is free. If the company wants to go forward and have the attorney look at it, we certainly can coordinate with them, but they're the ones that are going to be paying for the attorney's time. But there's a lot of stuff we can do here. So if any of the projects do this, we can also go ahead and fill out the form. Most of what needs to be done is not the legwork of the form, but the legwork of all the research. So, excuse me, that is patents. If we move on, trademarks. The difference between a trademark and a patent, who knows? Anyone? So a patent is for a thing, or for a manufacturing process, or a process of doing things. Trademarks are for brands, brand images, names. They're for the name of your business or your logo, things like that. It's not for a thing, it's for an image, whether it's the name or it's the actual graphic image. So similar, you want to go out and see if anybody's done it before. I've listed 3 different things here. Patent and Trademark Office, hence the name Patent and Trademark Office. They manage both patents and trademarks. So if you want to go into the trademark database, search system, you can go in and search for different trademarks that have been filed with the Trademark Office. You can also go to a nifty site here from the World Intellectual Property Organization, Global Brand Database, which allows you to search on both name, type of image, different countries. There's all kinds of different ways to look and see if somebody has already registered a certain brand out there. And then finally, there's a nifty little YouTube video that I found explaining to you how to navigate the rather unintuitive U.S. Patent and Trademark Office database. So if I go back here and open hyperlink.
Hello. In this video, we're going to explain how to do a quick trademark search at the United States Patent and Trademark Office website. Before you invest much time or
etc., etc. You can look at it yourself later. It gives you a little bit of tips on how to navigate their site. The World Intellectual Property Organization here is a little bit more intuitive compared to the sort of more text-intensive government website. the main issue here, you can pretty much, the only real issue is whether the name and the image have been used before. There's a couple of details. You can't, like, you can't trademark the word like F-U-C-K, you know? Like, you can't use like certain basic, either like vulgar words or other, there's certain things that you can't actually register as a trademark. And like if I use like table, I mean tables are tables. I can't register the name table. It's a generic concept for anything that looks like this, you know. I can't like trademark government insignias like that. Actually, like I can't put like the image of the like California bear on my like logo and then just register it. Like I could get permission from the state of California, but anything that's an official government insignia, like it doesn't go through this normal process. A living individual, like I could not trademark the name Brad Pitt. You know, Brad's still alive. Brad probably already has his own damn name registered anyway. But I couldn't register his name without him saying it's okay first. Now, once he's dead, there's a certain amount of years. Like I actually think I can patent things with the name Elvis Presley in them, as long as it's something unique, not just the name itself. Because Elvis has been dead for 50 years now. Or, excuse me, he hasn't been dead for 50 years, but that's it. I probably can't do the name yet, but some of his music is actually old enough that I don't have to get like licensing rights for it anymore. After 50 years, it goes into the public domain. So after a certain amount of time, I could probably use the name George Washington somewhere, as long as it's not something somebody else already did, because George's been dead for a long time. But if somebody's still alive, you can't trademark their name without their permission. You can't simply say like brown table. Like all I'm doing is describing a color of a table. It would have to be something unique about it. I can't just describe like square computer. Oh, hey, cool. I trademarked square computer, so now like all computers that are square, like that's my territory. No. Like you can't do that, and I can't just trademark Woods, you know. I can trademark Jeremy Allen Woods probably, especially if it's in association with the name of my like consulting business. But I can't just trademark like Woods, Smith, like Alcala, you know. Can't just like trademark the name Alcala and like. Reserve it away from everyone else who happens to have that family name. Otherwise, you can pretty much trademark anything as long as it hasn't been done before. $245 is really pretty cheap. So anybody who has a business that's really starting to like develop a core loyal group of customers that are loyal to your company's name or to your image, it's pretty cheap to register the trademark. It's always a good idea at some point as the business is growing. So another skill that I think every small business like manager should have. Yes.
Now, patents take a long time, don't they?
They tend to take longer. They don't have to take that long.
What about trademarks?
Off the top of my head, I would say that like the prices are like reflect. They also reflect how long it takes. So like I'm doing these in reverse order of how long it takes. Jane, you guys did you already get the patent approved or you filed?
Oh, we filed it.
What's the time frame that they told you so far?
Utility patents, they usually take around like 2.5 to 3 years before an examiner will actually sit down and review it. But once you submitted the application, you get a patent.
So
that's utility patent, where you're trying to like get the rights to a thing or the process of making a thing. There's also these things that are like design patents that are like, you know, like if you have a product, you
So there's shorter ones, basically. But yeah, we're not talking about a couple of weeks. 6 months for the easy ones, a couple of years for the hard ones. But as soon as you file the paperwork, you get, have you ever noticed, like, there's some things that actually, I can't remember what it is around my house, but there's some kind of, like, plastic container or whatever that I have, and you look on the bottom, it doesn't say, like, patent number or whatever. It says patent pending. So, like, they've registered that, nobody can copy this, but we actually don't have the official patent yet. And it's kind of the same, like, has anybody here ever been audited by the IRS? I had that lovely pleasure. You have? Abigail? Huh? Yeah, so I don't know how it was for you guys. Tell me, were you involved with it at all? Did you see how the process worked?
I'm involved in it. Like, my mom deals with the auditor, but she tells me to get all the paperwork out, and it has to be in order, and all files have to be there.
So, the auditor, is that actually, like, from a private firm, or is it a person from the IRS? And how often do they show up? So it's not very often. Like, I actually had the pleasure of getting audited about 4 years ago for my licensing business that I had. No, wait, it was for Market Driver. It was for the second one. I mean, they basically are both registered under the same company name here in the States. They were two different businesses, but I have them registered under the same company. So it was for revenues that I made while I was running the consulting, the lead generation business. But anyway, I put together all this documentation. They asked me to, like, prove that my travel receipts were actually what they're supposed to be. I put together all this documentation. I send it to the IRS, and then, like, 2 months later, they get back to me and they say they all need all this information again. And nobody ever read it. Like, nobody read what I sent them. The problem, and, like, I go from the IRS back to the patent office, the problem about timing is, more than anything, that there's only so many people that work at the patent office, and they're overloaded. So the reason it takes 3 years sometimes is because the sort of the case manager that makes a decision on whether to grant a patent for one of the more challenging ones, there's only, like, there's one person for 500 patents, and like any government agency, it takes them a while to get around to it. But you can still, as soon as you got the paperwork filed, you have sort of a preliminary rights that then are finalized once they finish the process. Does that make sense? Okay, last slide here, copyrights. The easiest one to do. Copyrights are about words, about ideas, about, you can see here, literary works, musical works, software is all about copyright, actually not patents, et cetera, et cetera. You'll notice here, it's $20. Like, pretty much anybody can file a copyright. It's really pretty easy. And the only thing you really have to do is create it in a tangible medium, which basically means that you, at least if nothing else, typed it into a file and you saved it as a document. So this page right here, I could copyright that if I wanted. Like, honestly, there's no need to, because the list I got from some of my colleagues, and there's nothing particularly amazing or original about the other couple of bullet points. But if I had come up with an entirely new, like, some of the materials that I present in this class are all my own. And I've actually been thinking about copywriting them, because eventually, like, I could use a textbook in this class, and I don't, because I think my materials are better than the textbook anyway. So eventually, I could copyright my materials and I could sell them as a textbook to other schools, so that, like, I can make money off it. And right now, I have no copyright on it. It only cost me $20 to, like, register it. So I may do that at some point. These slides I kind of borrowed from some other people, so they're not really that useful. But other stuff, anything that's written down, all you have to do, first of all, is write it down. Or if it's a song, if you actually wrote it, like, in sort of old songwriter, like, mode, where you're actually, like, writing on a sheet of paper what the notes are, as soon as you write it down, you've recorded it in a tangible medium. If you sort of record more from the gut, or in the flow of things, and you're actually just playing you're sort of improving what you're creating as you're playing it. As soon as you record it, you now have like taken the first step to a tangible medium. So any idea listed here or picture, as soon as you've actually like done it and saved it somewhere on a computer, you've done the first step. Then you need to go to the Copyright Office and save copies there. So you'll notice if we go down here, here, how do I register a copyright? So click here, it'll start pointing you to the places where you have to put things. All you really need to do is save a copy of the recording, of the digital picture, of the file that you wrote the words in. If it's actually a physical document, you just send them to a certain address, and as soon as you've sent in a copy of your physical picture, then it's registered with the Copyright Office. There's some paperwork to fill out, but that's really about it. It just needs to, it needs to not be something someone else has already written, and it usually falls into one of these categories. Although they are expanding the categories every couple of years. So copyrights, music, books, plays, like dances, anything that's like a picture or a piece of art that you've painted or drawn, movies, sound recordings, architectural design plans, those all fall under copyright. And there's some basic legwork that you need to do. There's some basic legwork that you need to do to see if somebody else has already done it before, but there's not a whole lot, honestly. If I haven't looked into the details, like once upon a time in high school, long time ago when I was in high school, like there was a kid that was like 2 years ahead of me, and he like copied and plagiarized, the entire text to "The Trees" by Rush, and submitted it as a poem in his poetry class, like this is like English lit class, and the teacher of the class like had never listened to Rush before, so she had no idea that he didn't write this poem. It's really cool lyrics, but he didn't write the lyrics. He just copied the lyrics from Rush. Now, I don't know what happens if you actually were so obnoxious as to copyright something that you copied from someone else. Eventually, that would show up, but it's a huge database that, it's really hard to match up like the exact set of words. So my understanding is if that ever came up, they sort of look at who did it first. It's one of the big reasons why you want to like file copyright sooner rather than later, and make sure that if nothing else, it's pretty easy with Rush, because if they wanted to say that no, Lance didn't actually write this poem, we wrote it 20 years before, you can see it's on their albums, it's on the radio with their name on it. Like there's any of a number of places that show that their name was associated with having written that a long time ago. It's pretty easy to like falsify the save date of digital files, so I'm not sure the finer points of like if you went and registered a copyright for something digital that somebody had not otherwise documented before. There's a process that you have to, like, the original holder would have to file a complaint, but basically there's not a whole lot of searching you have to do. You may want to go search and make sure there's not something exactly like it, but as long as it's an original idea that you've come up with, each person in here is an individual human being. I doubt seriously that there's going to be that much overlap in an original creative work that you've done. You just file it, and if there's anybody that says in the future, hey, I had that idea first, there's a protest or review process in place, but you don't really have to do a whole lot of legwork on the front end for this. You just have to fill out the paperwork and make sure to give them proof of the fact that you've actually written it. That's it. And that's it for that PowerPoint. So I still got done a little bit early. That's not bad. So let me switch from here. Let me save the. Remember, I got to show you one thing off the laptop, and then we're done. So let me